Hey, I want to ask you a very simple question, and I want you to be honest when you answer it to yourself. Well, what is the very first thing you do, the very first meaningful thing you do when you get up in the morning? I mean, once you got your coffee and everything, what's the first thing you do? I think for some people, it's just get on the internet and read the news. You want to see what's going on in the world. You want to see what's happening. What did you miss from the night before? What's happening right now? You just kind of need to know the news. You want to know the weather, what's going on. It's kind of the equivalent of going out to the front porch and grabbing the newspaper and taking your coffee and sitting down and reading the newspaper back in like people did back in the day. Not many people do that anymore. They just go to the internet and just check the news. For others, it's social media. A lot of people don't even get out of bed before they grab their phone and they're already checking social media while they lay in bed. They want to know what happened on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media site they check. And did their post from the day before get any more likes? Have they gained any more followers? What's trending? Social media, number one for a lot of people. For others, it's work. They just feel like I'm so far behind, and to stay caught up and to let the boss know that I'm really willing to work overtime and I work late and I work, after hours. They get up and they start pounding out emails first thing in the morning so that those emails are in their boss's inbox when he or she walks in the morning. And or maybe they send that spreadsheet they were working on, or they send that Word document for approval. Whatever it is, they just want to make sure that work is first, because that's important, that the boss knows that you put work first in your life. For others, I would say it's money. They're checking the stock market. They're wanting to know if their investments did well overnight, if they need to move money around here or there, or, did that piece of property sell? If not, I'm going to go after it. I want to make sure I am first to get in there and get the opportunity to buy that piece of property, whatever it may be. So work and money are the first for a lot of people. For others, they just don't have time for all that. They're just busy and they get up in the morning and they've got to get the kids ready for school and they've got to get lunches ready and they've got to make sure the kids don't forget anything and make sure everybody's getting out of the house on time. That's all they have time for. Others just don't get up early enough to do anything. They just sleep as late as they can and they go out the door, just barely with enough time to get to work. There's plenty of people too that will tell me when I ask them what they do in the morning. It's like, not much. So I'm just not a morning person. I used to have a friend that would show up at a men's breakfast that I used to go to, and he would come in and he was just surly, just surly. You didn't want to even see this dude until after he'd had a couple of cups of coffee. And once he'd had his second cup of coffee, he was human enough to speak to. But before that, it was just like, don't even bother him, just I'd see him and say good morning to him, morning, just barely able to utter the words, so he's not a morning person. But here's the thing. I think it's critical, the first thing we do in the morning, because I think the first thing we do in the morning sends a message to us and to God about what's most important to us. And so if it's news or if it's, the social media sites you check, or whether it's work or whether it's business or whatever, if that's the first thing you do, if that's the way you spend the first part of your day, then that is most important to you. Kind of hard to convince me otherwise, because you've made it first. It's the first thing you do. Jesus, the first thing he did was pray. Mark 1:35 says, very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the place where he was staying, went off to a solitary place where he prayed. And when you read that passage from Mark 1:35, the previous night he was doing ministry well into the evening. People were bringing the lame and the sick to him, and he was doing ministry. He was healing people well into the night, but he didn't sleep in the next morning. He still got up, went off to a private place where he prayed. If we're going to be real Christ followers, I think this is one of the most critical things we can do, is start our day in prayer with God. Number one, it sets the day in the right order because you've put God first in your day. You're talking to him before you're talking to anybody else. And you're being honest with him, and you're sharing everything that you need to share with him about thanking him for what he's done for you, and asking for forgiveness of sins, and asking him to help you with your day ahead. Hey, Lord, I'm going to need a lot of spiritual wisdom today. I've got some big business meetings I'm going to need really to be on my A game. Would you please help me have wisdom to know when to speak and when to be silent? Help me know how to handle this difficult situation at work. I need you, Lord. I can't do this without you. Help me, please. Or maybe just get up and pray, Lord, would you fill me with the Spirit today? And I think that's important because, when we're filled with the Spirit, we've got our mind and our heart focused on what the Spirit desires in our lives, not on the flesh, which often gets stronger as the day goes on. I love how my friend Bob Russell said he prays for a filling of the Spirit every day, and somebody asked him why, and he said, because I leak. And that is so true. We kind of leak. The day wears on us, and the flesh begins to take over, and things can irritate us. And sometimes by the end of the day, we feel like we have no spirit left in us. We're just the flesh. We're so angry or frustrated by the day. And we wake up the next day, and you feel like you don't have any spirit-led life. You're just a ball of flesh getting ready to start another day. So you need to pray for a filling of the Spirit. You know, when Jesus was talking, he was very clear when he said these words. He said, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross daily, and follow me. You know, it's an everyday decision to take up our cross and follow Christ. And if we're going to get up and start our day our own way, we're basically saying, I'm my own God, I'm going to do it my own way. But when we get up and start our day with God, when we start our day with Jesus, we're saying, I'm giving up my own way, Lord. I'm willing to die to my own way today and follow your way today. Again, Jesus, help me follow your way, not my way. Or think about how the Apostle Paul said these words, and I'll conclude with this. He said, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself up for me. You know, I think starting our day with Jesus reminds us that our life is not our own, and that he is the one we are to follow. We need to lay down our life and take up his life that day. A lot of people have spiritual goals when they start the beginning of the year, but about this time, they've kind of fallen off. If this has fallen off, I'm praying that you will bring it back. Get up, start your day with Jesus in prayer. It will help you get your day going in the right direction every single day. 10, 15 minutes early, that's all you have to do. It'll get you going the right direction. I'll do the same thing. Keep walking with Jesus, and I will too. And I'll see you next week.